Another ban list. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of Cards and Coffee. Today we're doing a little deck talk. We're going to be talking about Tri-Brigade. Now, this last format, Tri-Brigade was arguably the best deck of the format. While decks like Drytron have a really high ceiling and Prank Kids have a really good grind game, Tri-Brigade had a very middle-of-the-road approach to its game where it had great first-turn combos and could grind with some of the best decks in the format. With the limitation of Tanky and the banning of Zodiac Barrage, a lot of people are asking, is Tri-Brigade even viable? And honestly, yes, it is. It's probably one of the best decks. But that's why we're here today. I'm going to show you guys a deck profile of exactly what I would probably run if I were going to like a locals this weekend, or maybe playing in some remote duels. We'll go through the main and the extra deck, and I might even show a combo or two at the end, just so you guys can see what the deck can still do. I think it's pretty obvious that taking away Tankies and Barrage doesn't really change anything about the deck. It still does the exact same thing. We still have 3 Revolt. We still have all the extra deck at our disposal. And yes, the deck still plays Zeus. But we'll get to that later. First off, I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. I just honestly have a lot of fun making videos like this, so I really hope that you guys enjoyed the content. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have an idea of why this deck is still arguably the best deck of the format, and we'll leave it up for debate. So let me know what you guys think by the end of the video. But first, as always, please guys, go grab yourself a cup of coffee or something. That way you guys can sit down and tune in. Thanks, guys. Alright guys, so we're going to start with the monsters obviously, and as far as Tri-Brigades go, nothing really has changed, but the real debate becomes, do you still play Zodiacs in the deck? Now, Zodiac's really nice because it gives you a really easy access to Zeus, while also filling your grave with a bunch of Beast Warriors, and honestly, I really wouldn't knock you playing it, but I actually feel like that might not be the route this time around. I actually feel like playing Barrage as an extender for the deck is something that's really good, and without playing that, I feel like the Zoo engine just makes it to where you kind of have to hard draw it now that there's only one Tanky. In addition, this deck's already really normal summon reliant, so to not have cards like Barrage to fall back on, it's a little rough. So being able to summon a Zoo and then use Karas or something of that nature to extend isn't always going to be possible. Now, does that mean I think Zodiac is a bad choice for the deck? No, honestly, I really think it's broken, and anytime you can just normal summon a monster to get a free 4-material Zeus, yeah, that's gonna win you games. But just in my preference, honestly, I feel like there is a couple different routes you could take, but for myself, I'm leaning more towards a Rescue Cat package. In this case, I am playing 2 copies of Rescue Cat. You could easily play 3 of this, no questions asked. I will say drawing multiples of this card is a little awkward, but Rescue Cat is such a powerful card. This is actually the only card in the deck that's like a full 1-card combo where you can get Appaloosa, the Trap card, search a Beast Warrior, and have an insane follow-up for the following turn. Now, at this moment in the game, we don't have Crossout Designator, but we're only a couple weeks away from that, so that obviously will easily make it into the main deck. But for now, we actually still have a lot of ways to play through these hand traps, even without that card. Now, I'll get into more of the technical aspects of Rescue Cat later, but just know I think this is a great replacement for the Zodiac engine. The fact that you only have 1 Tanky now makes it to where your options might not be as versatile as it used to be. Rescue Cat is a hell of a power card, especially if you can use some of your extenders before normal summoning Rescue Cat. I can honestly say Rescue Cat is one of my favorite cards. It is a very old school card, and the card is errated for a reason. This card is pretty insane. So now we're going to move on to the Tri-Brigades. Some of the obvious stuff is the 3 copies of Tri-Brigade Fractal and the 3 copies of Tri-Brigade Nerval. These are like your main Tri-Brigades. Obviously, Nerval searches for you, and then Fractal will dump anything you need. 3 Tri-Brigade Kit is also something that is extremely standard in any variant that you play. Just being able to send any Tri-Brigade from your deck to the grave is always very useful. And last but not least, we are playing Karas, and right now I'm playing 3. Now, you don't need to play 3, you can easily play 2. It's just, for me, right now, I have a 39 card deck, and I have 1 slot that I've been messing with. So, as of right now, Karas is my 40th card for the main deck. Now, it can get pulled for a plethora of things, but for now, this is what I've been testing out. By playing 3 copies, it makes it more likely that you'll open him as an extender for your plays. In addition, it also makes it to where you'll have more targets in your deck for Rescue Cat, especially in the late game. I will say the one negative side to it is drawing multiples of him is not full combo, whereas drawing any 2 names of Tri-Brigades typically is full combo. Whether you have 2 Fractal, 2 Kit, 2 Nerval, 1 of each, literally any variation of 2 Tri-Brigade monsters is full combo minus double Karas. You could open Karas in conjunction with any Tri-Brigade, but for combo's sake, opening double Karas really just doesn't accomplish anything. And that's probably the only argument I would have about running 3 of this card is you want to kind of decrease the likelihood of drawing multiples of it, but I just feel like right now it's a pretty decent card to have in the main deck. Now I do play one more monster that has the Tri-type synergy, and that is a single copy of DD Crow. I really like this card. It kind of sucks in the mirror match, but it has its applications here and there. The main thing is this card's really insane against Virtual World, Drytron, Shadalls, Sky Striker, even Dragon Link it has some application. You really don't need to play this card, but being able to search this card first turn after resolving Rescue Cat alongside the Appaloosa and the Trap card is honestly pretty insane. It just adds another layer of interruption for your opponent to have to play through, and it all came from one card. Maybe as the format progresses, you could play more or less of this card. I just personally am a big fan of it. Now, for some of the other hand traps that you could be playing, right now I am on 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Obviously, just one of the more generic hand traps in the game right now. I still think it's super solid in today's meta, just being able to stop something like Alpha or Zeta in the Drytron match. Stopping cards like Rescue Cat or Fractal from resolving is always pretty good. Cards like Shadal Fusion, Sky Striker Engage, the list goes on. This card has an application in every matchup, so I definitely think it merits the main deck slot. I'm also on 3 copies of Effect Veiler right now. I just think it's one of the better hand traps, especially not being once per turn. I just think it has a lot of applications in pretty much every matchup. I expect the mirror match to be pretty popular because this deck is honestly still very insane, so having Effect Veilers can be very useful. Now, since I'm saying Effect Veiler is pretty good, I think I don't need to explain why I think Psy-Frame Gear Gamma is an insane card right now as well. You could actually argue it's even better than Veiler right now, but you know, there's the stipulation of having no monsters on your field to use it. The thing I love most about this card is there's just so many ways to bait your opponent into activating a hand trap or a monster effect before you even put a monster on the field. Gamma makes for an insane card going second and a very good card if you really need to stop a monster effect from resolving. In addition, if your opponent didn't have a hand trap for you to stop, this deck has the inherent ability to search cards or draw cards and then put a card from your hand back into the deck, so if you have a dead Gamma, then just put it back. And that's also why Driver isn't that big a deal to draw, because again, you could just put it back in the deck and replace it with something else. Now that's it for the monsters for me. Onto the spells. It's a little bit of a smaller lineup, but it's always been pretty small as far as Tri-Brigades go. So I'm playing 2 1-ofs right now, obviously the first being the 1 Fire Formation tanky. Sadly, it's at 1. Rest in peace, Zodiacs, one of my favorite archetypes. I personally don't think this card is that crazy. A lot of people like to compare it to Rhoda, but Rhoda is not once per turn. And in addition, this card can get stopped with something as simple as Mystical Space Typhoon or Cosmic Cyclone. So while this card is really good, I don't think comparing it to Rhoda is actually a good comparison. And for the last 1-of that I'm playing is the Call by the Grave, obviously. This will get paired with Crossout Designator in the future, so I'm super excited for that. I think deck building is actually going to be really unique and fun when that card is introduced to the game, just ratio-wise and what you want to tech. I think that card adds a really cool layer to the game, and I'm super excited for that. Now, for the last of the spells, I am playing 3 Pot of Prosperity. You could easily play 3 Pot of Desires, but right now I'm really liking Prosperity. Even though it does take away the option of drawing a card with Ferrojet, being able to dig into your deck just to hit a name is super important. Like I mentioned earlier, just drawing any 2 variations of Tri-Brigade monsters outside of Double Karas is full combo. So now while you don't have more tankies to search, this card pretty much does the same thing. In addition, if you already have combo, activating this could help dig for something like Gamma or even Called by the Grave, or in the future you can grab Crossout Designator. I think the power of this card is insane, and anybody who's sleeping on this card is probably making a big mistake. Now for the last spell that I'm playing, I am playing 3 copies of Triple Tactics Talents. Now there are some conflictions with this card and Prosperity as far as drawing goes. So for instance, let's say you activate Rescue Cat and your opponent Ash Blossoms you. Then you decide to activate Triple Tactics Talents and you draw 2 and you just draw into a Prosperity, then yeah, that Prosperity is pretty much dead. But I would still argue it's really good. The main reason is you just drew 2, so if you have an extender and you can still make your play, you're just going to put that prosperity back into the deck after you search the trap card. In addition, more times than not, you'll prosperity first, and having talents is just another way to rip cards out of your opponent's hand to where you can just continue combo from there. This card is super versatile, it's super insane. It has 3 ban card effects on it. I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to play it. I'm not going to say it is the best card in the game, but man, this card is insane. The one thing I will say is just keep in mind that prosperity is a thing in your deck, so you really got to plan your turns out and really consider all the avenues that could or could possibly happen throughout your turn. Oh, in addition, you can like take your opponent's Dragoons, so that's pretty insane. Or even better, you can take your opponent's Appaloosa in the mirror match, and then Appaloosa works for you to stop hand traps. Yeah. Anyway, moving on from the spells, we're going to hop into the trap cards. I'm not playing that many, but I'm still going to explain them. 3 Tri-Brigade Revolt, still the powerhouse of the deck. It's honestly the main reason the deck is playable. Not only just having a generic non-targeting banish on resolution, but getting all the search and the dumps and all the follow-up for the next turn is really insane. I personally think if a player resolves this trap card and gets all the search effects and the banish effects in that turn, the odds of them winning the game is probably very high. I'm really looking forward to the Mega Tins being able to upgrade these commons into the new Prismatic Secret Rares, so that's going to be awesome. But honestly, at the end of the day, this card is ridiculous. Now, after Revolt, we are playing 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. I actually think this trap card is really good right now. I've explained how Effect Veiler and Gamma are insane, so you can obviously understand why this card would be really good. But even drawing this card as the 6th card, stopping your opponent's Appaloosas, turning off a Winda, baiting a negate, you name it, this card is super versatile. Personally, one of my favorite things about this deck is how much room you have to run whatever tech cards you have. And that's probably one of the main reasons this deck is so powerful, because not only do you have just a simple, straightforward combo engine, but you can tech half the deck out in any way you want to fit in whatever game state the meta is kind of falling into. And the last card we play in the deck is the 1 Tri-Brigade Imperial Order. This is a staple in this deck, and I'm pretty sure every Tri-Brigade player would tell you the same. This card is pretty ridiculous for what it can do, and why it didn't get banned, I'll never know. I think it's pretty crazy that a card that's been errataed is actually up for debate to get banned again. Think about that. But that's it for the main deck. That is a solid 40 cards. No more, no less, no Upstart Goblin. But you could cut that Karas and put it in there if you really wanted to make it 39. I wouldn't hate you if you did. So before we hop to the extra deck, I just really quickly want to mention the fact that I'm doing a progression series on my channel right now, so if you haven't seen it, please go check it out. We're a few episodes in now, and our decks are getting pretty insane. We're doing a couple things that are different than Simo and Gage's series, like the inclusion of starter decks. So please, after this video, go check it out. There's a lot of entertaining episodes, and we're still putting them out every Wednesday. Now, moving on to the extra deck, there's a couple of staple cards, obviously. We're still playing the 1 Almirage for when you open Nerval or Kit, just to link them off and get their effects engraved. I am personally playing 2 Farrajet right now. I think it's a really good extender, and it's just a good card to follow up after turn 1, especially if it gets stopped. She's probably one of my favorite cards in the deck. I'm also only on 1 Bear Broom right now. This is a card that I could easily see myself bumping to 2, but I think 1 is really all you need, especially if you summon it properly, because then you just keep bringing it back off of Revolt, and then it replaces itself by searching another Revolt. So it's pretty important to try to summon this properly if you can. For the last Link 2, we are obviously still playing the Ancient Warrior's Oath double Dragon Lords. Just a quick effect bounce is pretty good. Moving on to the Link 3s, pretty standard stuff. We're playing the 1 Rugal and the 1 Doom Eagle, just really good cards. Obviously, this card is probably one of the more generic cards you play in the deck. It's not really the best, but it's not the worst either. Doom Eagle is really good. It has a lot of applications and a lot of matchups. Just being able to spin back cards out of the graveyard is really cool. On to the Link 4s, we are playing the Appaloosa. Obviously, this card is pretty much what you go into 80% of the time when you go first. Having this backed up with a trap card and a DD Crow also is, well, it's pretty insane. In addition to the Appaloosa, we're playing the 1 Access Code Talker just for when you're ready to go for game, or if maybe you're playing against something that's like a trap-heavy deck, or something that you just need to clear cards off the board. Unfortunately, the price of this card has gone to the moon recently, especially since the reprint was not announced in the Megatins. So unfortunately, if you don't have one, you might be shelling out a lot of money. Now, after these 2, I am playing 1 more Link 4. Tri-Brigade Shurg is pretty obvious that I am playing it, but I'm not playing it at 2. I am opting to play it at 3, and there's a couple reasons why. I think the more obvious reason as to why I'm playing 3 is, honestly, when you do your first turn rescue cat play, you do summon this on your first turn, so by doing that you burn a copy just to search your DD Crow, so having the 2 copies in your extra deck is still really useful for the grind game. I personally think 3 copies is the way to go if you can fit it, but obviously this card is really insane and it's really good in the grind and can win you so many games. Now, moving on from the Link monsters, we do play some Xyz monsters like I mentioned earlier before, and the main man himself that we play is 1 copy of Sky Cavalry Centuria. This rank 2 monster is easily summoned off of Rescue Cat, just bringing out your Kit and your Karas from deck. In case you guys don't already know, this monster's effect reads, this card cannot be destroyed by battle while it has an XYZ material. At the end of damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can detach 1 material from this card and return the opponent's monster from the field to the hand. This card is very useful right now. First off, the obvious thing is it doesn't get destroyed by battle, so you can easily crash it into whatever you want and then throw a Downer Magician on top of it to make way for Zeus. But the second effect of being able to bounce a monster from the field to the hand is extremely useful, especially for the fact that it does not target. So not only do you have Shurig to out Dragoons, but having Sky Cavalry will do the same. But at the end of the day, it's all about summoning Divine Arsenal AA Zeus. I think it's very obvious how powerful this card is, so I don't need to get into why it's so good, but obviously if your deck can play it, I think you definitely should. Alright guys, I'm going to run through a quick Rescue Cat combo. This is a 1-card combo that you could do going first, and honestly, depending what your hand is, you could probably take 100 different avenues with this card. But I'm going to show you a quick and easy one just to give you an idea of what Rescue Cat is really capable of by itself. So obviously starting it off, we're going to normal summon the Rescue Cat, activating the effect to tribute it to the graveyard to summon 2 level 3 or lower beast monsters from the deck. Obviously, we are going to summon Kit and Karas to the field just to immediately link them off into a link to Tri-Brigade Farrajet. Now that Kit was sent to the graveyard, you can activate her effect, sending Nerval from your deck to the graveyard, then activating Nerval's effect to search any Tri-Brigade from your deck to your hand. In this case, I just want another name. I'm going to add Fractal. Now we're going to use Farrajet's effect, special summon the Fractal from hand. Just make sure you don't summon it exactly where she points, because that's really the only way you can mess this combo up. Afterwards, we are going to activate Fractal's effect, banishing all 4 monsters from our graveyard to summon the 1 of 3 copies of Tri-Brigade Shurig. After Shurig is summoned, you're going to link him off with the Fractal to hard summon the Bear Broom from the extra deck. Like I mentioned earlier, this is awesome because since we summoned her correctly, for the remainder of the duel, we can keep on bringing her back with Revolt and using her effect to search another copy of Revolt every time it resolves. It's almost like an endless loop. After the summon happens, your Shurig's effect will activate in the graveyard. You have 4 types banished, so you can search pretty much any monster you want in your deck. The trap card you're about to search gives you follow-up by searching more Tri-Brigade monsters, so you really don't need to do that. So in this case, more times than not, I'm going to search DD Crow. If you already have it, then yeah, just search another Tri-Brigade monster. After your search resolves, you can now link your 2 monsters off into an Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess. Appaloosa will have 2 negates at 1600 attack, which is pretty awesome, but after you summon, you get to activate both Bear Broom and Farrajet's effect to draw a card and bottom deck a card, and then search Revolt and bottom deck a card. So when it's all said and done, you will have the Appaloosa, you'll have the DD Crow, you would have drawn a card and bottom decked a card, and you would have searched Revolt and bottom decked another card. Now you can set your Revolt for the follow-up later, being able to summon Shurig to non-target banish, and in addition you'll trigger Bear Broom and Nerval to be able to search 2 more cards during your opponent's turn after you have just banished something. Don't be surprised if you find yourself sitting across from this deck at your locals or at a remote duel tournament, or even running into it on Dueling Book. This deck is super consistent, super powerful, and really resilient. The resilience and control of this deck is obviously really insane, and for that reason, I personally think this deck is still one of the best decks of the format. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for my deck list right now. Again, things are going to change once Crossout Designator comes out, and I'm super looking forward to it. So once again, guys, I'm super thankful that you stuck around for the video. I hope you enjoyed the deck, and I hope you enjoyed the combo I showed you. If you're not subscribed already, please hit the button, subscribe to the channel. This is a new channel, and every little bit helps. Also, keep your eyes out for more deck profiles coming out with the new list. I'm sure I'm going to be pumping out quite a bit of them. So don't worry, there's going to be a good amount of content in the future. Also, again, every Wednesday I'm posting a progression series episode, so please go over and check it out after this if you haven't already. The series is getting insane. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.